As I said, so soft, so plush. It makes this, going back to this shoe, it makes this shoe feel like a low profile workout shoe. So in today's shoe comparison review, we have got the Glycerins going up against each other. So we've got the Brooks Glycerin 21 up against the Brooks Glycerin Max. So we'll go through their similarities, their differences, and their key features. And hopefully from that, that's going to give you guys a great indication of choosing the right shoe for you. But before we get into it, a big shout out to my #1 running store, the Running Company at Geelong. I've got a link to their website in the description. Make sure you go check out that and check out all their running gear. And also guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And in the specs, they're both neutral road running shoes. Now the Glycerin 21 used to sit at the top of the tree in the Brooks lineup, so it is the most premium and plush shoe in the lineup, but there is a new Glycerin in town and this one certainly sits on the top now. Now big difference in the price there. So you're going to pay $70 more for the Max over the 21 in Australia and $40 more for the Max in the US. Now in the weight, there is a bit of a difference there in the weight. Can you feel that on the foot? Yes, you certainly can. It feels a lot lighter in the Glycerin. It actually feels almost like a workout shoe in comparison to the Glycerin Max. Now also big difference in the stacks there. So the actual stack height in the front of the Max is the same as the stack height in the rear of the Glycerin 21. So yeah, you can definitely feel the difference on the foot. Much higher off the ground here in the Glycerin Max. So Brooks are really renowned for the build quality in their shoes, and these two shoes are absolutely no exception. They are just screaming out plushness. Materials in both shoes are really high-end, very luxurious, very plush. So what we've got here in the Glycerin Max, so it is a thicker material. It's the engineered air mesh. So super plush though, super comfortable, but the breathability probably could be a little bit better. It's just because the material is so thick. Pretty solid heel counter at the back here, and we've got a little Achilles flare at the back, which is really nice. Plush amount of padding around the heel collar and a plush amount of padding on the tongue as well. The tongue is not gusseted here. We've got those really thick, plush, puffy laces, just premium. But what the lacing system is, it's definitely not straight up and down on the shoe. It's a little bit skew-if. That may be, it looks a little bit weird when when you're tying your shoe up, but it doesn't affect the performance at all. Now in the lockdown, no issues whatsoever, absolutely amazing. In the fit, I'm going to say it's a pretty big fit, so lots of volume here. In the length though, it's pretty much true to size, but the overall volume of the shoe, it's a really big shoe, so you feel like you've got a lot of space in there. Toe box nice and wide as well. As I said before though, build quality, I think Brooks is certainly leading all brands there when it comes to that. And stepping comfort, if you watch my other reviews on this shoe, I think this is probably the most comfortable shoe you could ever put your foot in. But in our Glycerin 21, so how does it compare to the Max? So it's hard to beat. So they've got the engineered warp knit here as the material. But again, it's a really thick material, so the breathability could be better as well. But again, just super comfortable, super plush. Just like the Glycerin Max, we've got a really solid heel counter at the back, or heel cup at the back. It's probably more solid than what you're going to get in the Max, but we've got a plush amount of padding again around the heel collar, and the same amount of plushness goes into the tongue. Again, the tongue is not gusseted in the Glycerin 21, so hopefully on the models coming up, they do start putting a gusset on their tongues, but yeah, super plushness around this heel collar here. Same type of laces you're going to get in the 21 in the Max, so those real soft, plush, puffy laces. The lacing system though is not skew-if in this one, it's up and down on the shoe, so it doesn't look as weird. But the lockdown in this shoe, not a drama at all, absolutely excellent. And in the fit, I'm going to say it's a little bit shorter of a fit than in the Glycerin Max, just a smidge. But I would say true to size as normal in the length, and it's a pretty roomy toe box as well, but not as voluminous as what you're going to get in the Max. So a slightly smaller fit in the 21 over the Max. Now what might happen in the 21, and I think some people may have to come half size up in this shoe, and that's because the padding in this shoe has got a tendency to push the foot forward a little bit as you run, and it can feel like it comes up a little bit short. If you do have that issue, you can always use like that the runner's knot or that lace lock just to keep your heel further back in the shoe. But for me, I'm happy that I went true to size. Build quality as well, absolutely excellent, just like the Max. And stepping comfort, again, it's excellent, but it's not quite up to the plushness of the Glycerin Max. And in our outsole, so what I love what Brooks is doing here is how they segment their rubber on the bottom of their outsole. So they don't just lather their rubber on. So they're very clever with what they do. So it takes nothing away from the ride. It lets these midsoles splay. So I think they use the same rubber compound in both shoes. It certainly feels the same. I think it's that Road Tack rubber, but it is really good in the grip department, and durability, it's absolutely excellent. But as I said, you can see how it's just segmented off. They haven't just kept it in one piece and restricted this midsole. What the Glycerin Max does have that the Glycerin 21 does not have, they've got these big sort of grooves within the shoe, so especially through the heel, and these big sort of cavities through the forefoot. And again, that's just adding some extra squish to the ride of the Glycerin Max. Don't really have that in the 21. We've got a bit of a channel here that runs down the shoe and a bit of a groove through the heel just to add a little bit of bounce there. But overall, these are two great performing outsoles. And in the midsoles, this is where these shoes are miles apart. So in the Glycerin Max, they have got a brand new foam, space age foam, brand new tech that I haven't seen come from another brand. It's called DNA tuned. So it's a nitrogen injected foam. However, the foam's been tuned in different parts of the shoe to give you different sensations when you run. So they've tuned it through the rear to feel nice and soft. So they've got bigger bubbles injected through the rear of the shoe, nice soft landings through the rear. And then they've got smaller bubbles injected through the forefoot, and obviously that makes the forefoot a little bit firmer and a little bit more responsive through toe off. Very, very nice what they've done there. Now, there is no plate in this shoe, but the shoe is very, very rigid for a shoe that doesn't have a plate. It's, yeah, pretty solid shoe there, so nice and stable. And you want a shoe to be nice and stable and stiff when it has a forefoot rocker like this one. So this is their Glide Roll Tech. Now, in comparison to other rockers on the market, it is quite late in the shoe, and you usually just see that with shoes that are engineered for performance, but this one, it's just late enough where you can still feel it when you're jogging along. And in our Glycerin 21, so the foam that they're using here is DNA Loft V3. Now, this nitrogen injected foam, again, is a little bit more traditional, so it's not tuned in different areas, it's just one simple slab of that stuff. So no plate again in this shoe, but this shoe is a little bit more flexible than what you're going to find in the Max. A little bit more traditional feeling, a little bit of play there left and right. Yeah, and so again, geometry wise, it doesn't have a significant glide roll rocker just like the Max, but it has got a little bit of curvature there. So it's got a slight rocker just to take any slappiness out of the road, which I really, really like. And in the ride, so two very different experiences here. So with the Glycerin Max, you are going to get a super plush underfoot feel. So just what that DNA Tune claims is exactly how this shoe feels. So really soft as you come through the heel, like really soft, absolutely no road feel. And it does firm up as you go through your foot strike, and then when you go to toe off on the forefoot, there is a little bit of pop there and a little bit of responsiveness as you roll onto the rocker, and away you go. But it's not overly firm or overly poppy through the forefoot, so don't think that you're going to get a really soft landing and a really explosive toe off. It's not like that. It's still overall a pretty soft ride. But yeah, super duper soft through the heel. But it's not overly squishy soft where it is like a lethargic, you're digging yourself out of sand soft. The transition of how this foam tuned is just right. So there's all that synced, it's just to take all the road feel out, all the shock absorption out of the road. So it just, yeah, absolutely no road feel. It just sucks it all out, and it's just got that tune, so you roll out of it really quick, and then you're onto the foam that's ready to just give you that little bit of pop as you roll out. So yeah, it's not an overly super efficient shoe like you'll probably find on a super responsive and a firmer shoe, but it's certainly not an overall sluggish shoe either. So somewhere in the middle. It's not unstable as well because it's got just because it is really soft and squishy to the rear, totally not unstable because it's got a really wide platform. Now, the differences here with our Glycerin 21, so this one with that more traditional type nitrogen foam, It's soft, but it's not soft in comparison to the Max. So this one, it's much more of an energetic ride. So if you're familiar with nitro foam, you don't sink into the foam quite as much. So it's more of it's less squishy, and it's also got a quicker rebound. So yeah, much more of an energetic ride, but still nice and protected from the road. So still not much road feel. Very stable ride, very safe ride. But what this shoe has got, it's a very consistent ride. So this foam will feel exactly like it does for your first K and onto your last K. So very, very resilient foam. But yeah, in comparison to the Max, it feels quite responsive and quite snappy, but still soft, so not overly firm by any means. But in the softness scale, so this one is like a 9 out of 10 in the softness scale, and I'd say the Glycerin 21 is probably about a 6 in the softness scale. So I think these two shoes are both targeted at the same types of runs. So both great for your easy days, your recovery days. Great daily trainers as well, and also great long run shoes. I probably wouldn't recommend either of these to be like a workout shoe or a fast shoe, but if one is better than the other, then the more responsive foam from the Glycerin 21 will certainly feel like it can pick up the pace a whole lot better than the Glycerin Max. Now, if I've got to lean between one shoe or the other on each different runs, well, obviously, those recovery days with my legs are super beat up, I'm going to go for the Glycerin Max. For a daily trainer, though, I'd probably prefer a little bit firmer ride in the Glycerin 21. For a long run, now, it's going to depend on how long the long run is. So I think up to 2 hours, and if it's just time on feet, I think I'll go the Glycerin Max. But if the run is a little bit longer and I've got some pace injected into the long run, then I think I'm going to lean for the Glycerin 21. So if you think the Glycerin 21 is a really plush daily trainer, well, the Glycerin Max, I think, is another 3 levels above that. So this shoe is really off the charts when it comes to plushness. I think it certainly is the most comfortable, most plushest ride that is currently on the market. It is absolutely so comfortable. As I said, so soft, so plush. It makes this, going back to this shoe, it makes this shoe feel like a low profile workout shoe, which is, yeah, absolutely crazy, because this one did sit on top of on the soft plush scale in the Brooks traditional lineup. But great, both great shoes. It's going to come down to you guys. What do you prefer? If you prefer a more traditional type daily trainer that's still plush, going to give you lots of protection from the road, not as soft and squishy, then the Glycerin 21 is for you. But if you want to go all out, spend the big bucks, you want the most plushest experience that you can in a running shoe, obviously not designed for anything fast, then the Glycerin Max is certainly for you. But anyway, guys, that's it from me. If you've got any questions regarding my time in these two shoes, please just ask me in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.